Welcome back. I am Captain Xavier, and do I have a treat for you all today? What I have here is the first major commission that I did, or that I have done. This was sent to me by a young fellow who is a great fan of a great many very prominent nerfers. As those of you who are familiar with such things will no doubt recognize, this is a combination of several YouTubers' very famous and well-known builds. It is a combination of one of Coop's builds, where he took a Rapid Strike and a Stampede and integrated them and added an XBZ tank. I believe Mag212 did the same thing, and it's also been inspired by one of the blasters that Drac reviewed. I believe it was actually made by a fellow named Eli. Oddly enough, I'm not actually well versed and with the Nerf community at large, something that I really need to work on for a number of reasons. Not knowing anybody makes me look like a snob, and not knowing anybody makes me miss out on all sorts of cool opportunities. So, gonna start working on that, try to get a little bit more active and well-known in the community. But what we have here is by far the most complicated integration that I have done. The only blaster I've built that's more anything than this is Ire, and that's just because I spent 5 years tinkering on her, and she still doesn't have some of the features that this thing has that are really, really wicked. So I'll just I'll pick a place and start. It is, as I said, a Rapid Strike. The internals are Blade 180s for the flywheels. I ended up having to go with a Rhino 130, a 130 Rhino for the pusher. The user requested a 180, but for various reasons that was not working out, and then that motor ended up failing and I had to switch to the 130 at the last second, but it still works absolutely beautifully, and going to the 130 actually solved a couple of problems that I was having. It also has, of course, an extended mag release, a flared magwell, a canted foregrip. It has a voltmeter, which is activated by opening the jam door. I do not currently have a LiPo in it. It currently has 3 IMRs in it for testing purposes. It doesn't work as well as a LiPo. Obviously, there are reasons people use LiPos, but it did allow me to actually do a firing demonstration well enough to satisfy the customer. So this will be getting shipped out today, which is why I can't do quite as many fun tests as I would like to. It's already getting too dark to see out there. I did do a couple of firing demos that I will hopefully have in this video. If not, it'll be in the build video. There will be a build video. This is just the features, look what I made video. The build video is going to take me forever to edit because there are hours and hours and hours of footage, most of which is probably completely worthless and will get scrapped, but I have to go through it all to find what can and cannot get scrapped. What else does it have? It has an XBZ built into the top with a brass breech barrel. The barrel section pulls forward. This little trigger is just to give you something to hold on to. It pulls forward, you load the dart in, it goes in. Then it's got a Hornet and Panther tank combination down here that allows you to pump it up, and then it is fired using the XBZ's trigger that I took off and mounted onto this side. The user is, of course, as most people are, right-handed, so I had to design it for a right-handed person instead of how I would have intuitively built it, which would have been for a left-handed person like me. So the voltmeter is on the left side of the gun instead of the right side of the gun like it is on Ire. The breech is on the on the left side instead of the right side, and the firing mechanism is on the right side, so you can reach over with your left hand to fire it. Have not yet gotten the chronograph readings on this. My chronograph, actually, I think it may have arrived today, but I have yet to ever actually set it up and test it. And the only place I have to test it that's got sufficient light right now is here in my shop, which has fluorescent lights, which are gonna probably mess with the readings. So I tested it outside, and it is definitely performing every bit as well as anybody could possibly hope from this build, so hopefully it will satisfy the customer. The air tank fires better than the air tank on Ire does, because Ire does not have a long brass barrel. I may have to design one for her now, or I may just have to build one of these for myself. This thing was the most complicated and stressful build I have ever built. I lost so much sleep and had to ask so many people for advice. Thank you so much to all the people who did give me advice. Thank you to Walcom. He helped me out on a couple of questions that I had. Thank you, Coat Duck, for some of the advice she gave that I probably could never have finished this without. The only thing that this is still missing is the barrel attachment. The user wanted a 3-pronged barrel attachment, much like the one that Drac reviewed, which the name I can't remember. I want to say it's Elysium. But I had no way of getting a hold of one of those up until I started talking to Coat Duck, and she has graciously offered to print one out for me. So once I get that, I will send that on to the customer to add on later. Other than that, I believe I met all of the customer's requirements, and I am hoping he is satisfied. Hopefully it holds up under the abuse that he will no doubt be putting it through. Hopefully he remains satisfied and doesn't come back in a week going, "It broke and it's all your fault," because that would make me very, very sad. But let's do a quick demonstration of it just so y'all can see it. Alright, here we have, just going to put 10 rounds through it real quick. Obviously, with a 3S LiPo, it would have a much higher rate of fire. It did when I was testing it, that is for sure. The 130 wouldn't have quite as much, as high a rate of fire as if I'd had the 180 in there. However, the customer said that they were more worried about accuracy and consistency of fire and the ability to fire single rounds if desired. They didn't want to empty their magazine all at once. So this definitely fulfills that. Another feature that I forgot to mention, it does have a fully brassed barrel going all the way back into the magazine well. The downside of that is if you're not using relatively fresh darts, it's going to be a little bit more likely to jam, but it also means that this thing shoots incredibly accurately for a high rate of fire flywheel, which is what the customer said they were most concerned about. Let's give this a test. So it just breech loads, toss the dart in there, slide it closed, give it a dozen pumps or so. And I may have just dented my garage door. So it is performing beautifully. It definitely needs the proper batteries. These IMRs simply cannot put out enough snuff. Oh, one additional feature that I forgot to mention. I believe this idea came from, I want to say, Bobo Lobo. The battery door is held on with magnets, so it's really easy to get in and out of the battery door. This was another thing that the kid requested, and did give credit to the person who designed it, which is impressively conscientious of him, really. Let's, for fun and excitement, see what happens if we put another... Yeah, so there you go. If you put it at the full 16 volts... That's a little bit closer to what the performance would be with a 3S LiPo. IMRs don't have, I don't believe they have quite the discharge rate that LiPos do, so they don't... they require more voltage to get the same performance. I could be wrong. I am not an expert on LiPo. Feel free to correct me in the comments. I would love to have some education in that area. So, there you have it, really. I think that's all the features that this thing has. Alright, it is decidedly front-heavy, because you've got the battery, the flywheels, and the brass barrel are all in front of the handle, so... it's definitely heavier in the front than in the back because there's basically nothing back here. This is all empty. There's no functioning mechanisms. There's no batteries back in here. It's all just The only thing that's back here really is the voltmeter and the pump, but the canted foregrip definitely makes it very comfortable. Might want to pad the inside of the battery tray a little bit so the battery doesn't wobble around too much, but let's see how much it actually weighs in at. It is coming in at 1.7 kilograms, or for us Americans, 3.85 pounds. So it's not all that heavy. It's about half the weight of ire, so... But I'm absolutely pleased with how it came out. The paint job could have come out a little bit cleaner. That I just, for some reason, could not get it to behave. But it did end up coming out kind of battle-scarred, actually, which I hope he appreciates. And it is a Nerf gun. It is going to get a lot of abuse, so... I used usual spray paint. I did, the one neat thing I tried to do, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me and end up causing problems, which I unfortunately suspect it is going to before too much longer. I rubberized the grip using a spray-on Plasti-Dip, and unfortunately it's already kind of starting to peel. That could be a problem. He may have to do something about that, maybe send it back and I can redo the handle or just something. But it's also been very, very thoroughly clear-coated so that hopefully the paint job will last for a good long time. It's got a couple of little scuffs that I added, a couple of places where I didn't add them on purpose, but they ended up looking very suave and sophisticated looking anyway. So there you have it, my Rapid Strike Stampede XBZ integration commission. I definitely wouldn't mind having one of these in my arsenal. I have a couple ideas of how I would probably do things differently, but this is what the customer requested, so this is what the customer got. So if you have any comments, suggestions, questions, any ideas, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. I will head a couple of you off at the pass right now. No, I will not make another one of these anytime soon. This build took so much time and so much effort. It will be a while before I am willing to do another one of these. I'm still willing to do simple upgrades, definitely willing to do strife upgrades, definitely still willing to do paint jobs, but I don't think I will be accepting any complicated integrations like this, shell integrations, for a while because they're just too complicated, take too much time that I currently don't have. So keep that in mind if you're going to be reaching out for me for commissions. There will be a channel, Etsy page, commission, public service announcement of sorts. I'm making a couple of changes in the near future. Look forward to that. This was actually done and shipped before Christmas, but the customer wanted it for his kid for Christmas, but asked that I hold the video until after, so as to not spoil the surprise. The kid does know it's coming, he just doesn't know how awesome it turned out. I'm hoping he likes the way I did the paint job. It's a little bit different than the ones that he showed me, but I did that on purpose, of course. I didn't want to have an exact replica of somebody else's work, because that is generally considered rude. Something of a faux pas, if you will. I am really pleased with it. Let me know in the comments below what you think of it. And as always, thank you for watching.